is Matt and I live in Guangzhou, China. Since being here, I have been traveling throughout China and Southeast Asia. So I just wanted to document and give you some tips and tricks that I've learned since traveling around this area. So to start, I'm going to do Cambodia. So Cambodia is mostly known for its Angkor Wat complex, and that's actually what I went to go see. And it was beautiful and amazing. So if you take anything from this video, is to go see it for yourself because it's great. So here's a map of Southeast Asia, and this is Cambodia. And in Cambodia is Siem Reap. So here's a map of Cambodia, and here's Siem Reap. And in Siem Reap is where the Angkor Wat complex is located, and that's what I went to go see. So Cambodia is in the equator and it's near Southeast Asia. So it does have only two seasons, the wet and the dry season. So the wet season goes from May to October and the dry season goes from November to March. And January is actually the coolest month of the dry season, which is when most people go there because they want cooler weather and no rain. But it also means that that's when the most tourists are there. So that means that it's going to be the most crowded and the most expensive time to go. I went in February, so it was right after that. So it's getting a bit hot again, but it wasn't too bad. And there was a good bit of tourists, but not too many. This could have been due, it was right before the whole coronavirus outbreak happened. So it might have had a bit of an effect on who was going there and like how many tourists were going there, but it wasn't too bad. So all U.S. visitors to Cambodia has to have a visa before going in. This can either be an e-visa or a visa on arrival. I opted for the e-visa because in my opinion it's the easier one and it's the less stressful one. So what you have to do is you have to go to this website, and I'll link it in the bottom as well, the website that you go to, and you pay a $36 fee, and you just fill out some information and they will email you your visa, and all you have to do is print out 2 copies of that visa and take it with you when you go. And one thing to note is when you do this, they will cut it out for you once you get there, and they will staple it into your passport. I didn't know this and it kind of freaked me out, but upon reading it happened to everybody. So just to warn you, that's what's going to happen. And the next option is to do a visa on arrival. Like I said, this is the more stressful one because they do have the ability to not let you into the country, and it would not be good to get all the way there and then not be let in. I don't know why this would happen, but you know, I like to have all my bases covered. But anyways, you can do this visa upon arrival. It is a bit cheaper. I believe it's $30 instead of the $36. And all you have to do is you have to wait in a long line, and they'll process you and then let you in after that. When you get there, I flew into the Siem Reap International Airport. There's several international airports in Cambodia, but this was the one closest to the Angkor complex. So that's the one I flew into. It services places all throughout Southeast Asia, so it shouldn't be too hard to get into there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is the currency that they use in Cambodia. So it's kind of an interesting system. They actually use both US dollars and their own currency of Cambodian riel when using cash. So what happens is anything that's above a $1 bill, they will use US dollars for. But anything that's lower than a $1 bill, they do not use US change, they use their Cambodian riel money. So if you are purchasing something for $2.50 in US dollars and you gave them $3, they would give you back money in Cambodian riel. So it can get kind of confusing to make sure that you get the right amount of change back. But for me, it was such a small amount of money. Anything that I got in Cambodian riel I knew was less than $1 US. So it wasn't too big of a worry for me. But if you are worried about that, it can get kind of confusing. So just make sure you know that conversion rate before you get there. And like I had said before, they do mainly operate in cash. Some of the more established places is going to have credit card readers. Some places like your hotel, the ticket office, maybe some fancy restaurants, but most places like the street vendors, the markets, most restaurants are all only going to take cash. So you want to make sure that you have a good amount of cash on you and not rely on your credit card because they might not take it. The next thing I'm going to talk about is transportation. So Grab is the biggest transportation in Southeast Asia, the transportation app. It's basically their Uber. In Siem Reap, and I believe in Cambodia as a whole, they have the option to rent tuk-tuks off of Grab, which is very cool. When I was there, the only thing I took was a tuk-tuk. From the airport to the complexes to wherever I was going, it was all tuk-tuk. which was actually very fun. That's what I wanted. So what happens with Grab is they will pick you up from wherever you are and they will take you to the place that you specified on your phone. After you get there is when you pay them, and it's going to be you paying them in cash. As for tips, I never tipped my drivers when I was there. I don't believe it's customary. I'm sure they would appreciate it if you were feeling generous, but I don't think it's necessary. But this is a very convenient way. You don't have to bargain, you don't have to haggle with people over price for where you're going. So yeah, Grab is the main way to get around. One more thing that I would like to note is you should talk to your hotel about transportation. So for me, my hotel provided free transportation to and from the airport, and it also arranged transportation to and from the complexes for me. Okay, the next thing I'm going to talk about is probably the reason why you're going to this place is the attractions. So obviously the biggest thing to do there is the Angkor Wat temple complex, but this complex is not just Angkor Wat temple itself. It's actually a whole huge area with a lot of different temples, a lot of different buildings that you can see. To start out with, you have to buy your ticket to get into there. The only place you can do this is at the Angkor Wat ticket office. This is located in Siem Reap. It's very easy to get to. You can't purchase it online, as far as I know. You have to go in person to this ticket office. The prices of the tickets are, for a one-day ticket, it's $37. For a 3-day ticket, it's $62. And for a 7-day ticket, it is $72. For me, I got the 3-day ticket, and this was plenty amount of time. I actually only spent 2 days at the complex itself. So 3-day was plenty enough time for me. If you want to have more time and spend more money, then you can go for the 7-day. If you have less time and you want to go cheaper, then you can go for the 1-day. I do think you would be very rushed with a 1-day ticket, and you might not see all of the places inside the complex because it is so big. But if you don't have enough time, then you can definitely hit the main ones and be okay with 1 day. At the ticket office, they do take credit card. So this is probably the biggest purchase that you will make when you're in Siem Reap is this ticket. So it's good that you can use your credit card instead of having to carry on all that cash. And one tip that I have for you when buying your ticket is if you buy your ticket after 5 p.m., if you have an extra day before you go into the complex, you buy your ticket after 5 p.m., then go straight to the complex. You can watch the sunset from wherever you want inside the temple complex, and it will not use one of your days that you bought. So if you bought a 3-day pass and you go in with your ticket that you bought after 5 p.m., the next day you still have your 3 full days that you can use. So that is a good way to get the most out of your money when in Siem Reap. Okay, so like I had said before, the complex itself is more than just the Angkor Wat temple. That is the best known and biggest attraction there is the Angkor Wat temple, but there are a lot of smaller places around it that you can go to that are just as cool in my opinion. So some of the highlights are the Angkor Thom complex, and this has the Bayon temple. Then there's the Ta Prohm temple, there's the site of the Tomb Raider films, and then there is Ta Som, which is a smaller temple that is more, there's less people there and more like you're exploring it yourself kind of thing. When doing this temple complex, there are 2 main routes. So there's the Grand Circuit and the Small Circuit. I suggest you do both because it will give you a good sampling of all the different temples that are in the area without feeling too rushed or stressed about like which specific ones you want to go to. So this is a map of the complex itself. So we have Angkor Wat is here. This is the biggest attraction. And then there's Angkor Thom, which is actually bigger, but it has the Bayon temple. And then Ta Prohm is here. That's the Tomb Raider temple. So as I was talking about before, there are 2 circuits. So the red circuit is the Grand Circuit right here, and it will go along and hit a lot of these different places that are circled. And then there's the Small Circuit that is in purple, and it will go along here and hit other places that you didn't get to in the other circuit, which is why I suggest that you do both. As I mentioned previously, if you are planning on doing sunrise, you will most likely do it here at Angkor Wat along one of the reflection pools. After the sunrise has gone up, I suggest that you do not go into Angkor Wat. Instead, I suggest you go counterclockwise along whichever circuit that you're planning on doing that day. So you would go this way along the circuit instead of going this way, because this is the direction that most tour guides will take you. So that is the direction that most tourists will go after the sunrise. So if you want to avoid some of the tourists, you go this way and you'll get more of the temple to yourself. What I did when I was there is I talked to my hotel when I got there, and they were able to set up both tours that I went on. They were able to contact the driver, and the driver took us to and from the places and in between the different temples along the circuit. One thing to note about this tour is that the driver is not a tour guide. He will not be able to go into the temple with you and talk to you about like the history and stuff. He can give suggestions about where to go, but he's not going to go in and guide you when you're inside the complex. If you do want this, there are plenty of people outside the complexes that will be trying to get you to buy their guide services, and I'm sure you can bargain with them and get a good price with that. But the driver will not do this for you. I arranged this through my hotel, and it was quite inexpensive. So for a one-day drive to and from the complex and in between all the temples in the complex, it was only $10. I had 2 people with me, myself and my friend, so that's $5 per person for a full day of going to the temples. You can add a sunrise and a sunset option onto these tours. It will cost you $5 extra. At least for me, it was $5 extra. As far as the sunrise and the sunset, I do suggest that you do one or the other. My favorite was the sunrise. I did it at the reflection pool in front of the Angkor Wat complex, and it was really nice to see the sun coming up over the complex and turning the sky really pretty pink. One thing to note about this is the more popular option, so it will be very crowded. So you need to get there early and get to your spot fast. For the sunset, I did it at the Pre-Rep temple. It was very nice to do sunset at this temple, although I don't know if it was worth it because we did not actually stay until the sun went all the way down. After we had been through the whole day of temple sightseeing, we were so tired from all that we left before the sun went down. It was still really pretty to see the sun going down over the temple and over the jungles there, but we didn't actually get to see it go down. So keep that in mind if you think that you're going to be really tired or you have a full day before that sunset, then maybe opt for the sunrise so you can go beforehand. And lastly, some random tips for you when going to the temple is you need to have your knees and shoulders covered. They are temple complexes, and you need to be respectful of their customs, and also bring lots of water or be prepared to buy lots of water. And just like anywhere else, there are other things to see in the city that you go to. So if you want to get outside of the Angkor complex, there's some other places that you can go. Namely, you can go to the Angkor National Museum. I did this before I went to the temple, so it was good to see like the history and the background of the temple before going there. It is $12 per person to get into the museum, and you can do a $5 audio guide. I didn't find it necessary to do this. I actually did not do this because there are descriptions under most of the artifacts that are in English that you can just read, and I believe the audio will just tell you what the descriptions say. They do, I believe, take credit cards at this museum, but I paid in cash, so you might just want to have some cash on hand in case they don't take credit cards at that time. Another place that you can go is the pub street. So this is the big bar and nightlife scene in Siem Reap. If you want to go out while you're there, you go to Pub Street. Next is the markets. So I went to the Sar Cha market and the Made in Cambodia market, and this just has like a bunch of tourist items. It has paintings like the one I have up here, and it has like produce and different things in this market, so it's fun to see like what they're selling and to buy some things if you want some souvenirs. Last is the Khmer massage. I got this while I was there. It's the traditional massage that the Cambodian people do. What it is it's a fully clothed, full body massage. The masseuse uses hands, elbows, knees, arms, feet, everything they can. But this does mean that it's a bit of a harder massage. I enjoyed it because I like my massages to be a bit more like deep tissue. My friend had a bit more trouble with it because he's a bit more sensitive skin. But he still enjoyed it, so keep that in mind if you want to get a Khmer massage. It is going to be a bit rough. But after multiple days walking around a temple, it was very nice for me. And lastly, when you go to a place, you want to experience everything that you can, including the food. So the most famous Cambodian dish is probably fish amok. What it is it's fish, curry, coconut milk, and various spices all served in a bowl. The fish is boneless, at least it was for me, which I was glad because I don't like fish bone. And the fish like melted in my mouth because it was in that hot sauce. The next is the banana blossom salad. So it's chopped up banana blossoms, peanuts, chicken, mint, lime, and chili sauce all mixed together, and you eat the whole thing. Last is lak lak, and it is beef stir fry, rice, and a fried egg over the rice, served with a pepper and lime sauce. So all of these dishes were very good and very traditional for the region. So I definitely suggest you try all of them when you're there. I realized while editing that I forgot to talk about accommodation. So just really quick, I stayed at a hotel called Residence Indochine Angkor. It was about $30 per night, and it had several different amenities like a pool, bathtub, balcony. I believe $30 per night is about average for Siem Reap. If you want to go cheaper, you can definitely do that with less amenities at your place. If you want to go more expensive, you can definitely stay at resorts. They have those as well. Okay, that's my guide for Siem Reap in Cambodia. I hope it helped you in planning your trip to go to this part of the world, and I hope it was helpful. So thank you for watching, and bye-bye.